along that line, you want to talk about, advertise. Sometimes we call those out at the end. Sometimes we don't. Today we actually have a pretty packed agenda. So with some interesting stuff. So we may not get to that, but if you got them, share them there. You can see the agenda and notes. Feel free to use that document, take notes, ask questions, do sidebar commentary. It is a running document of this meeting, and past meetings are also cataloged there for time in memoriam or until various digital services go offline. So I think we can go ahead and begin. Welcome everyone to the Interledger Community Call. Another great turnout for another exciting conversation. We are pretty packed today. Is Adrian on? I didn't know if I saw him roll in. Maybe not, or not yet. So we will jump one ahead and let's go to Sabine. Let's get the Rafiki update.
Sure. Hi, everybody. So the big update from Rafiki side is that actually everybody that's working on Rafiki or those people working related to Rafiki, we are all meeting next week in Cluj, Romania, for the Rafiki work week. So we are attempting to get a lot of work done, and I'm sure we will get a lot of work done, but have even more work when we leave the Rafiki work week. We did this already last year, and this was exactly how it went. So I'm expecting nothing less than it to happen this year again. We are focusing on 5 different things, one of which is documentation. Even though documentation has improved ever since we started doing documentation last year during the Rafiki work week, it's still not where we want it to be. So we want to include more information, also structure it better. And yeah, that on Rafiki, but also on open payments and all the different things that somehow are related to Rafiki. Then the second one is Rafiki right now has ILP as the payment method. We want to add a second one, which is Mojo Loops. That will be a second work stream. And we do this specifically for remittance payments, because remittance payments, ILP is not really made for that. But we want, it's part of financial inclusion. So we want to add that as a second payment method. We've also been discussing open payments spec changes over the last couple of weeks during our open payments catch-up call that is open to the community, by the way. So I'll just put some little advertisement in here as well. The link to that call is on the open payments Rafiki repository. We should probably also put it on the open payments documentation page, but we haven't done that yet. It's fairly new, but basically what we do there is talk about things that we think should change in the spec, and these are coming from feedback from all of you, basically. So we want to update the spec to include all the changes that we have already discussed, and then also update Rafiki to comply with the newest version of the open payments spec. Also the people working on Testnet, the Rafiki.money, are going to be there. So they have a bunch of things on the agenda that they want to get done, improving Testnet. And then finally, we want to add telemetry to Rafiki such that we have some more data and can actually measure what's happening under the hood. So these are all the things we're going to be working on. If you are interested in working with us, I think a little bit short notice to invite you to join us in person, but you can join remotely if you want to. Just hit me up and I'll make sure that we have some way of communicating during that week. Also, for those that want to have a Rafiki primer prior to joining, I'll do that this Friday. We'll have an hour of a call where I'll talk a little bit about Rafiki infrastructure, what it does, what it's supposed to do, all this kind of stuff. The notes have the date and time, and yeah, let me know if you want to be invited to this. Yeah, that's the most important stuff. I also put in the notes what we are gonna what we accomplished over the last month, and what we're still discussing, go ahead and read this, and I'll give some more people time to talk. So thank you.
Love it. Can you, I see the notes you say join remotely. Is there any link or any detail that you could put in there for how, or just contact you?
I will. I have not figured that out yet, how we're going to do this, because I need to first talk to the Breakpoint office, what's actually possible there technologically from their side.
Broadcast details to come. Thank you very much.
I'll also put it in the Interledger Slack and probably write in general, splash it out there.
Yep, that's a great, always plug the community. Interledger Slack is always your most direct access to find information you need, or to just bug someone individually. Bug, I mean, in a lovely and wonderful way. That's a good, let's go to Breakpoint and the Testnet. That's a good segue from there. So Tamaya, do you want to jump on and give us your updates?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I have a short update, and the very first one would be that on the wallet testnet, you can use now multiple currencies, so those are available. You can play around. And the new thing we have is, I think I just shared my screen. I hope you are seeing it. Our second phase in the testnet family would be the Interledger e-commerce, which will probably be renamed into Interledger Boutique, Rafiki Boutique. That would be the domain name. As we have Rafiki Money, this will be the Rafiki.boutique. And we have here some products that you can buy. So this is just a teaser of what we are preparing. We have six products that you can buy. You can just click on a product, see the details, add to cart, add some more stuff, and then view the shopping cart right here in the corner, what you have here in the list. And you can remove products, add some more products, and then do a checkout. Well, this checkout is almost done. I am on localhost. Radu is doing an excellent job. He's almost done with the checkout. Basically, what will happen here is that you will pay with a payment pointer. So we are using Open Payments to connect this e-commerce application with our testnet wallet. So you will do a payment with a payment pointer, and you will have to grant access to the e-commerce application in your wallet application, and then either you decline the payment or you accept it. And in the grants list in the wallet application, you will see this payment as well, this grant. So that connection is under development right now. We are planning to maybe even finish it next week in the Rafiki work week. So this was just a small teaser of what we are preparing, and this connection between our wallet application and the e-commerce application. Yeah, that's about it, all of the updates from testnet side. Modrina did a great job here on design, and Radu did a great job on development. I had to say that because they really are doing a great job, everyone. All of the Breakpoint team, but like this e-commerce application is especially those two. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, exciting update, and beautiful one at that. And you're getting a lot of love in the emojis and in the comments.
Happy to see
it's
that.
pretty cool. So everyone go play with that. More levels of play in the sandbox. We've added toys. This would be a good time. We have a busy agenda, and we're going to go to Fynbos in just a minute, and then I'll give some Interledger updates, and then we're going to go with a deep dive on Mozrt later, which we're all very excited about, and I think is going to bring a lot of interesting things to the community. But before that, I want to take a quick pause and see if there are any questions or anyone want to follow up on anything with the Rafiki or testnet updates. Okay, we have come to the conclusion of the awkward silence, which means no one is jumping in with a question. So Adrian, I believe you are now on, your rabbit ears are on, and you're ready to give us a Fynbos update.
Hello. Yeah, sorry for joining late. Yeah, so update from our side, a lot of work in the last month on embedding our capability into sort of community settings. So you all know we have the ability to connect your Fynbos wallet to like a Twitter account. We now have the ability to connect it to a website. So if you own a website, you can prove ownership through like a DNS, signed DNS entry. And then the two really exciting ones we added recently are Slack and Discord. So you can link your Discord account and your various Slack workspace accounts to your wallet. And what we want to build on the back of that is Slack and Discord bots that allow you to do payments inside those communities. So the bots are up and working. We're sort of ironing out the last few little features on those, and we've been putting a lot of energy into an advertising campaign in the US to try and find communities that want to test those out. So you would have seen my message on the Interledger Slack a little while back asking if folks use Discord or Slack communities. That was the reason there. So we've had a few responses in response to our ad campaign. And we've sent out some emails to a few people to set up some interviews and find out a little bit more about their use case. Our goal really is make sure we don't go building lots of stuff that nobody has asked for. So the bots at the moment are very basic. There's a /command pay, and you put in a username and an amount and a little memo. It'll call out to our side, connect whoever the caller is with their connected wallet, connect whoever the receiver is with their connected wallet, create the payment, prompt the caller to authorize it. So you'll get a little pushback into Slack or Discord with a little button that you click to authorize, and it'll bring up a pop-up to either put in OTP or 3DS. Yeah, so that's sort of on the product side. That's been the main focus. We're in a lot of discussions with some companies in the UK and Europe around enabling payments from those territories. We're hoping we can unlock quite a few actually in one go with the company that we're talking to. But in the meantime, we have been approved by our bank, our acquiring bank in the US, to be able to at least send into those countries. So we're waiting for approvals from the networks, but the bank has approved our program to do sending into UK, Europe, India, and Japan. Those are the four that they've approved so far. So hopefully we can kick something off soon where folks will be able to sign up from those countries, at least to receive money. So you'll be able to sign up, link a debit card, link all of these identities. You'll be able to receive payments. You won't be able to send them yet because our licensing doesn't allow us to do sending. But as I say, yeah, working on that. Hope to have something to report back soon. And then last but not least, been doing a bunch of work around how we standardize our sort of, the wallet address, payment pointer idea, as well as the profile page. When you visit like fynbos.me/Adrian, if you query that through an API client and you get back JSON, it gives you like all the linked identities and keys, and that's sort of been a small piece of the open payments standard so far. I made a proposal a couple of weeks ago that we adopt some of the more broad standards around identifiers and entity documentation, specifically distributed identifiers. So the way we all do, payment pointers and wallet addresses today actually maps really cleanly into the DID-Web distributed identifier method. And then all that would mean is that we would then, as a wallet, we would present a DID document that contains all of the information we already showed today, but in a standardized format with, verifiable credentials and the ability to do sort of selective disclosure of information and so on. So very early on that, we're in the process of sort of speccing that out, and we've actually got a company locally here in Cape Town that are sort of experts in that space who we've been chatting to about getting some help on this. Going to meet with them next week, so I'll be able to report back soon. And then, yeah, next week we'll be joining the work week remotely. Unfortunately, yeah, none of us are going to be in Romania, but we're going to join from here. And Omer is still trying to get across to Romania from Turkey. He's struggling a little bit with visas, but he may be able to join at least the second half of the work week, assuming he can get the visa issued on the day when he goes for his appointment next Tuesday. I think that's it from our side.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Adrian. We have one question, I think, from Jeremiah. I'm interested to know more about that. I know, sorry, I don't have my glasses on. DID was a bit of a controversial approval by W3C.
I mean, can't comment on the W3C controversy. There's never a shortage of it. I would say, in my experience at W3C, there are a big portion of the W3C participants and group members who are not from big tech, not from browser vendors, and so have interests in technologies that don't get majority support, if you like, within W3C. I would classify the verifiable credentials and distributed identifiers as probably one of those. Self-sovereign identity doesn't gel well with companies that would like to, help you log in everywhere and then track where you go. That's my personal opinion. For what it's worth, one of the things we're in the process of doing is evaluating a call from the Department of Homeland Security in the US for digital wallets that can issue these credentials. They have been big supporters of the work. They actually have pretty strong privacy preserving principles and a whole department within the DHS around being able to do their jobs without sharing personal information. So they would very much like to see the ability, for example, for a wallet to verify your identity without having to ask you for your social security number. And so, yeah, there's a high likelihood we'll get involved in a program with them to implement a bunch of this stuff in our wallet. And that would allow someone, for example, to sign up with Fynbos, verify their identity without actually giving us their personal information, maybe just their name and date of birth, but we would need a social security number. We would need, addresses and so on. And we would still be operating within the sort of what's allowed by our licensing, because we would have a very strong, we would have done our job in terms of identity verification, because we would have verified an identity credential from either there's two departments within the DHS that are part of this. I forget exactly who they are, but yeah, I would say verifiable credentials and distributed identifiers are very widely supported. They're the crux of most of the work that's happening in the Open Wallet Foundation. They are pretty integral to a lot of the work that's happening in the EU. So the EU has a whole project for creating an open source identity wallet that will become kind of the standard for citizens in the EU. And DIDs and verifiable credentials are kind of key to that. There are a bunch of competing sort of variations of standards, and there are other credential standards. Mostly, I would say the one probably most well known is there's an ISO standard which is used for driver's licenses, but that doesn't, as far as I know, that isn't being widely used for anything else. So yeah, interesting space. We're just really getting our heads around it, but it sort of gels well with our whole vision of pulling identities and payments together into one place, and being able to send money to someone without needing to know their bank account number. You could know just their online identity, be able to safely and securely send the money, and rely on the fact that they are who they say they are, because of verifiable credentials. So yeah, lots of stuff that still has to happen, but we're pretty excited about it.
Awesome. Adrian, see Adam GFam has a chat question. You can probably follow up on that.
We have a Discord server. I will drop a link to the server in the chat. It is literally fresh and new. So if you join, Well, it used to be an internal server, so we've only just cleaned it up and made it publicly consumable. So if you join, you may even be the first person to even say anything in the chat channel. But
well,
I'll share a link.
What a great answer. I love that. Action forward. All right, so let me jump in and give some chunky Interledger, broad Interledger Foundation updates, and then we're going to go to Mozart. One, I'm going to do some stuff that's kind of current and then some stuff that's previewing. One, the most important thing, if you haven't gotten your ILP Summit tickets, you can see that link. Please go ahead and grab a ticket. Maybe you're already coming and you haven't done that. Please do it. Maybe you still want to come. That is the way forward. And also please spread widely. You know, we would love, you know, whether in your circles, within your social media, we'd love the help in amplifying that tickets are available for the summit. We're going to be starting to announce speakers beyond our keynotes here in the coming weeks, which should be driving a good amount of excitement. We had over 85 submissions for our call for speakers, and we actually expanded the program to accommodate more folks. So more updates on that soon. Hey, someone I think is live typing. Could you just make sure that you're muted? Thank you. And speaking of the summit, I want to give a house cleaning announcement. We will not have a November Interledger community call, this call, because we're doing the summit, and it just felt like a little bit of a redundancy. And then December, we will be doing a kind of a debrief and review and share out from the summit. So just a look forward. But we still have October as usual next month. One other thing, and I'm pretty sure I saw Julier on. Maybe Julier, you can throw some links in. We do have active grants, both for ambassadors and for research and development proposals for our Interledger Financial Services call. We'll put the links in there. The next deadline is September 21st, and then there's the last deadline of the year is November 21st. So there's still 2 opportunities on both those grant streams. So that's kind of what's going on right now. Just to tie in what Adrian was talking about and Jeremiah was asking about in the chat, the next call in October, which will happen, we will have an update. Alex and some others with ILF badges are at the TPAC W3 Summit or conference, whatever it's called, literally right now. So we'll definitely ask Alex to do a little bit of a debrief and an update from what comes of this week. But I also now want to turn it over to our colleague Vanille to talk a little bit about Hacktoberfest, which is coming up and should be an exciting way for most of you to participate and for us to grow our contributors. Vanille?
Yes. So our open source ambassador Santosh and I are working together to put together the campaign. So what we'll be doing is throughout October, we'll invite open source contributors to contribute to open issues on ILF GitHub, and not just ILF, but if you have any projects and you want us to spread with the community, you could also send those link to us. So the next step would be to identify what the good fast issues that you want to share with the community to participate, and then you can tag them as hashtag Hacktoberfest on the GitHub. So whoever from that during that month are looking to contribute to, they can identify things through that tag. So the Interledger team is also next week going to put together a list of good first issues from various things. So we'll be compiling all of that, and there will be a page which would be curated, and then we'll be reaching out to different open source communities across. Yeah, if you would like to participate, share your projects to engage with the open source community, please reach out to me or Santosh. Yeah. That's it from my side too.
Awesome, thank you. And you sort of in a wonderful way, introduced that we have a new open source ambassador in Santosh. So one of our ambassadors that came through our open call is now plugging right away into growing our open source outreach via Hacktoberfest. And in the notes, you can see a link to that bullet point, and that will take you on. But that's just a little preview. There'll be more to come, but definitely think about that and reach directly out to Vanille via the Slack. We also will be participating this year with our new partner, the Action in Financial Inclusion Week, which will happen in October. We'll also be sharing more details about that as well. We're doing a session during their Financial Inclusion Week. It's all virtual, as well as participating in some other ways. So we will be updating all of you about Interledger's involvement in that. And I just want to say one quick thing before we move on to Mozart. It's being involved in this call now for multiple years, it really is remarkable to see these updates from the Testnet to Fynbos to Rafiki, what we're going to hear in just a few minutes with Mozart, even where the foundation is going. It really is remarkable to see the progress, the sophistication, the momentum. So, you know, maybe everyone hit that applause icon and just give everyone here a round of applause, because you can really sense a lot of movement and momentum in lots of parts of the ecosystem. So just, it's always good to make those acknowledgments. And I wanted, it struck me as I sat here and listened, and as Vanille and I prepare for these meetings every month, we're kind of deeply in the weeds of what goes on. So you can really start to feel that steady momentum. And with that, I'd love to kick it over, I think, to Jeff and team at Mozart, who I think are going to represent another really big piece of ecosystem momentum here, and are a new grantee of the Interledger Foundation. So announcements all over the place here. Jeff, are you kicking us off?
I guess I am. I am, Chris. So I appreciate the intro and glad to be here, having this opportunity to kind of share more about Mozart and kind of what we're up to and how the world's come together and benefit everybody. So with that, I have pulled together a couple of slides that we can leverage to use to let me know when everybody has a chance to see it.
Your screen has been shared.
Awesome. So, you know, as Chris had mentioned, there's some potentially some pretty cool tools and toys in the box that we can leverage together. You know, just a quick background on Mozart and kind of the journey that we started about 4.5 years ago. We took a number of folks that had really great banking and global payments backgrounds with along with technology and great connections and connectivity into the ecosystems. And, you know, 4.5 years ago, we really focused the business on an area that we thought was a pretty big weakness in the industry today. And since we're US based, you know, that represented that the 11,000 or so financial institutions across the US within banks and credit unions, and our, you know, narrowed in focus at the time was really around how do we help these financial institutions that really don't have the know-how, they don't have connectivity into the ecosystem of, you know, who's really delivering and orchestrating these payments, and they certainly didn't have the technology. They were kind of stuck in a rut of leveraging their current platforms that were, you know, the core banking systems and the payment platforms that are 30 to 50 years old, and they're very archaic and almost green screened, and they're definitely not designed to work with the modern companies and businesses and fintechs that they were trying to work with. And so we pointed and vectored in on how do we help that ecosystem out, and so we built a platform that really enabled all of those capabilities for cross-border payments. Is kind of where we started. And we went out and we started working with a number of financial institutions around that. And as we were starting to roll out, and this was 4.5 years ago, as we started to roll out some of these financial institutions, they said, geez, you're doing the heavy lifting in the hard yards of cross-border payments. How about helping us with domestic payments as well? So we expanded evolved the platform to handle domestic payments in the US. That meant that we needed to integrate in not only to the different rails and different systems in the US and the different parts of the ecosystem, but we needed to directly integrate and work within the Federal Reserve. And so we started that as well, and about 2.5 years ago. So a lot of progress in the business and in the company in the last 4.5 years, but a ton of progress in the last couple of years within the business. And so, with that, I thought it'd be good just to share, what exactly do I mean by that? What did we build, and ultimately, how does that benefit, everybody on this call today and others, as well as we're looking to build out, global capabilities for everybody and every use. So, to start with, one of the key pieces of the foundation that we needed to do is we needed to build a real platform, call it a core, a payments core and deposit core that was highly scalable. It was very different than what was out in the market today, which I referenced 30 to 50-year-old technology, like from FIS and the Fiservs and Jack Henrys of the world, that instead of leveraging those older kind of platforms, we needed something that was, instead of a batch that processed overnight, we needed something real time. We needed something that was very modern, and had a very API focus that could be very easily integrated and consumed by others, instead of months and months or years of trying to integrate to these archaic system. This is something that we have clients that have come to us on a Friday, and by the end of the next week, they're not only integrated, but they're running test payments across all these different things that Mozrt provides. So we looked at what the definition of what is the next stage, or what is the next core kind of capabilities that would really take not only these FIs but all these fintechs and tech forward companies to the next level. And we started building out things that everybody needed, right? So a very automated, real-time, 24/7 capability to onboard new clients, that from a compliance standpoint, from a an account issuing standpoint, everything directly connected to the Fed, that incorporated all those capabilities, everything that was on a global basis that would incorporate everything there. But let's allow for 24/7 account openings and account setups. Let's take it to the next level of, we'll provide the ledgering and the sub-ledgering. If somebody has that capabilities, we could provide APIs and webhooks to keep their systems updated in real time. But it's really an end-to-end deposit, account, and payment core is what we had developed. We've been recognized now, by some of the folks out there, JP Morgan and others, that have just, have provided an analyst report that has recently come out that said, hey, we are at that level. We've now moved a tremendous amount of money through this core, through the system. We have, opened up accounts for, around the globe onto this platform, and it is scalable and at the level that you would expect an FIS or a Fiserv type of core to operate. So, with that, we looked at and we said, okay, we have global payments, cross-border, we have domestic payments, we have these other alternative payment methods that we need to account for. We have card issuing. So we took the next step within our core. And if you've been following Mozrt at all, you've probably seen a recent release from Shazam that, Mozrt is the front end for card issuing, for all of the Shazam debit cards that are connected directly to these FBO accounts that we provide. And so what does that really mean? It means that instead of having to go to Marqeta and Galileo and pay a lot of money and take a lot of time to stand up a bin of cards, and then go to somebody else like Treasury Prime or somebody else and that does ledgering and sub-ledgering, Mozrt has a platform that does all of those end-to-end capabilities, and by the way, are connected directly to these FBO accounts and these bank accounts that our core manages. So it's pretty cool capabilities that everybody can leverage. And again, instead of writing this giant check to all these other third-party companies, you can do a one-stop shop with Mozrt. And instead of, taking 6, 9, 12, 18 months to stand something up, these things happen very aggressively, very efficiently. So that's what we have done from a platform, a core perspective, that we have built at Mozrt that is kind of the foundation of everything that we're going to talk about next, and that's domestic and then international payments. With that, on the domestic side, everything you would expect, right? So since we are directly connected and integrated, and we work very closely with the Federal Reserve, everything across ACH, across wires, auto debit kind of capabilities, the hot, wave right now across the US is, are you going to do real-time payments or FedNow, which is, just doing real-time payments through the Fed versus the clearinghouse. Those are enabled and continue to be built out on our side, not only sending but receiving. A lot of times, a lot of fintechs and tech-forward companies come to us and they talk about, hey, we have challenges with, we find a bank partner, sponsor bank that if they're doing Visa Direct, they only do Visa Direct domestic. They don't do cross-border. Same thing with MasterCard Send. So, being able to create that capability of doing both sending, receiving, domestic and international is really what we have focused our platform on, that we continue to build out. So both on the inbound and the outbound, being able to do things like pay to card capabilities and things like that is what you would expect and what we continue to build out across our Mozart core and capabilities. So where this becomes really interesting, I mentioned, when we started the journey 4.5 years ago, and we talk about, the cross-border element of our business. We started very early building, not only partnerships, because we knew the FIs and the fintechs had challenges partnering with JP Morgans, with all these different, companies that are in the space. We went out and we signed direct strategic partnerships with them. We've not only have done that, but we've enabled a number of financial institutions with these capabilities, but we've also, and we continue to evolve the integration to all these tremendous platforms, right? So, at some levels, pieces of their business are required and needed. And so we knew that it's not just a single one-stop shop, that JP Morgan might have tremendous corridors and capabilities over here, but Standard Chartered is better in Asia and different parts of these different corridors and currencies. And so we knew that we needed to be able to expand and provide something that could be used on a global basis for anybody and by anybody. And this is what we're really, really excited about with Interledger and working with Rafiki, because this is exactly where it plugs in, is that not only everybody on the call here today, but others that are interested in this, they'll be able to leverage now, our existing client base, and others can leverage all the capabilities, once it's fully integrated to what Rafiki offers and what Rafiki, everybody here is building into Rafiki. But on the other side is that because of this integration, now everybody here can now leverage the capabilities that are not only Rafiki based, but also everything else that you're seeing on the slide for, a full rounded experience until we build more and more capabilities across Rafiki. So that's what we're really, really excited about, is that it really does bring kind of the worlds together in a perfect way of saying, hey, there's a tremendous amount of capabilities that are here today across Mozart. Now looking at where Rafiki is taking things is exactly what we're continuing to build out. It just makes a ton of sense for us to really integrate the pieces together, not only for U.S. domestic type payments, but also for international payments, around the globe. So this is a part that we're as Chris had mentioned about, from a grant standpoint, we're putting a tremendous amount of time and effort behind this and building this piece out and really getting this Rafiki integrated and built into the ecosystem and for capabilities that anybody can leverage across our current customer base and future, and then everybody here on the call across all of you and your customers and clients as well. So we're pretty excited. It's a pretty cool thing to add into the mix and really drives it to the next level. So I think a couple of things here that just kind of next steps and kind of things that we think are pretty cool, pretty important to us, is that we're really looking forward to meeting everybody at the summit in Costa Rica. So we're pretty fired up on that. And just so everybody understands, so what could you expect from us to, at that summit is that, we plan to come there and really our team's been working really hard on doing this integration and getting everything ready. So we would love to be able to come to the summit, and which is just around the corner, and be able to show like our current status and progress of where we at, how would the systems work together? Is there, not only materials, but potentially a demo that we could showcase. That's what we're marching towards and we're trying to get to. So we could kind of showcase the current status of where we are together with Rafiki and everything that we're doing at Mozart. Some of the things that others have asked too is is there any way we can get involved? And we'd love to help in any way. We would love if you're interested, please reach out. We'd love to have folks, when we get to the right point of, helping us test and, doing various things. We're already working with some of the Interledger, prior grantees that are clients of ours already. So, we would love to see if anybody else wants to lean in and help out in any way. We would love to, kind of open things up and allow folks to have early access to. We do publish a ton of stuff. So if you're interested in Mozrt, we put a ton of stuff out on LinkedIn. So, please follow Mozrt on LinkedIn, and you'll see all the latest and greatest of not only partnerships, but you'll see what we're kind of up to. Just yesterday, we just updated our website. So, feel free to go to mozrt.com and check out what we're up to and our latest updates, and we'll continue to update that, or reach out to me directly, right? So we're happy to not only talk about Rafiki, we're happy to help out everybody here with, any kind of, need to open up US bank accounts and things like that. It's something that, we do every day, and we've done for a number of Interledger grantees. So, with that, I guess I would ask, first of all, thank you. It's great to be here and great to meet everybody. And we really do look forward to meeting everybody in Costa Rica. What a pretty cool place to go. And then happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right. Thank you. One quick thing I want to connect a dot with Jeff. We'd love to have you and your team throw some stuff over to Vanille and Santos for Hacktoberfest. So that might be a really interesting area to start some of that collaboration in terms of opening up or reviewing whatnot. So I would just put in a plug there as we connect some of those dots. Sure. We've got one question from Adam that I'll read aloud, but then other people can also jump on mic or line up in the text queue. But it's basically a question about your intended customers. Who do you see as your customers? Is it institutions, businesses, Gen Pop? How do you define that?
Yeah, so we do have a pretty steady group of FIs that we continue to service. That has been, as we have evolved the business and kind of our focus, that has kind of become our secondary focus. Our real focus has been on, we have been sponsored, and I probably should have spent a little bit of time. We've been sponsored by a nationally chartered bank here in the U.S. So we have extended, they've extended their bank charter to us. We have our own dedicated routing number directly to the Fed, and all of our connectivity is directly to the Fed. So we've been fully sponsored to the Federal Reserve. And so, our primary business today is to continue to build out global kind of capabilities and really serve the needs of fintechs and tech forward companies. So you're going to see some announcements coming here that are pretty big, significant. Everybody on the call is going to recognize some of these global fintechs that we have onboarded, and so you'll see more and more of that coming up. But that is our primary is our focus, is that we'll continue to build out our capabilities, our platform, our core, our partnerships and ecosystem, and to really serve the needs of fintechs and tech forward companies is really what our primary focus is.
Awesome. We have another question from someone from the AgnostiPay team. When a customer has an FBO account, which maybe you could define when you answer this, at Mozrt, would that customer also have a personal API key that they could use in a different app/platform?
I'll answer the first part of it, and if David is on, I'll have him answer the second part. But the first part is just to, so everybody understands. So typically when you look to open up a bank account in the U.S. and you're a tech forward or a fintech company, and you have clients all around the world, or you have clients in the U.S., you would set up with us. We would provide you a block of bank account numbers for you and all your clients. And when you think about it, is that all of your clients would become kind of FBOs for benefit of one of your clients that would be kind of underneath your umbrella. So we would set those up. We would establish those. We would ledger and subledger those separately, or we'd provide you the capabilities to track and maintain within your own ledgering capabilities. So an FBO account is just for the benefit of you and your clients. And so that's what that definition is. And then the second part of the question, I will hand it over to David to answer that part.
Sure. You'll have to forgive the background noise. I am at that W3C conference today. And I said goodbye to Alex earlier. He flew out of here. But the access to that via API is up to our client. So some of our clients would give out access to that to be able to have those capabilities directly. We don't give access to those individual accounts to users. No. So that would be up to our client to be able to give that access, but we have no restriction on that access for them.
Cool.
Can I ask a question here? If you're providing US bank accounts, is there a possibility here that this could be a solution for people who are not currently based in the US who might want to use Fynbos because it would be a US bank account, right?
If that's the end of your question, I would say yes. So we typically, more times than not, majority of our clients are fintechs or businesses outside the US that are looking to provide their current clients with US bank accounts and capabilities to either receive a bunch of funds in. So you think about if you have clients that want to pay you or pay your clients in the US, and then you want to be able to send those funds cross-border and anywhere around the world, or you want to redisperse those funds across the US, these are full functioning bank accounts that allow you to auto debit or provide, here's how you pay us into an account that a bank account that we provide that's all FDIC insured at a nationally chartered bank here in the US. And so our technology sits on top of it. We're sponsored by the bank to open up all these accounts. And then we really take the instructions, of how do you want to collect the money? How do you want to send the money? But these are accounts that are owned by each of your clients. And as you mentioned with the Fynbos part, so that would be a typical use case, is that if you're looking and needing US accounts that could do any of these capabilities on the behalf of, working with Fynbos, these are, what we do every day for other fintechs.
So, Adrian, 'cause my understanding is, I'm a Canadian, I have a US account, but it's held by a Canadian institution. So that doesn't work for Fynbos from the last call we had, from my understanding. But in this case, would setting up an account through a US account through Mozrt, would that work with the regulations that you've got at your end?
So I'll just say devil's in the details. We should talk more about this, but typically that's, I'll give a couple of examples. We have a Canadian company that does not have a presence or a license or anything else in the US. They have set up accounts in the US, with Mozrt for their clients. Their clients collect funds into these accounts, so it's for the benefit of their clients. They're collecting money into the accounts, and then they're sending money payments into resorts around the world and things like that, or they're sending the money back into Canada. So so it's devil's in details. Love to further explore that, but it sounds like it's very doable from what little I guess I understand of the situation so far, but very common practice, and we're doing it for even Western Union and others that fintechs that we work with that are collecting payments or doing treasury moves around the world and things like that for other large companies. So we would enjoy a conversation like that just to make sure we don't talk past each other, but sounds like
from our side, I think I'm seeing some of the comments in the chat. My understanding around the Bank Secrecy Act and compliance is that banks, the letter of the law is not specific, right? The law says you need to know who your customer is. For most US institutions, they basically say, well, the most risk-free way to do that is to ensure they have an SSN, and we're going to check that against the database, and we make sure it matches the address they gave us and the name and the date of birth. So that's how people do KYC, just because it's cheaper and easier. And remember, for most institutions, it's a balance of cost and risk, right? So the they'll onboard customers at a sort of risk level that they're comfortable with based on how much each onboarding costs. So the way we operate is we're operating as agents of an MSP. So we're subject to their, like, where they set the bar in terms of risk. If you're not sponsored by a bank, a nationally chartered bank like Mozart, then you have to be licensed in every state. So our MSP has licenses in each individual state, and that determines where you can send money from. So it's all about where can you send from. So if we have a customer that signs up with us, we can sign up customers anywhere in the world, but we can only facilitate a money transfer from a state where we have a license. And that's the pain, unless we were doing it under sponsorship of a nationally chartered bank, in which case, like, you got much more cover, but then it's subject to the bank's decisions around risk and so on. So, I mean, the obvious thing for us would be like partnering up with Mozart and just extending, where we can get cover for our customers. I've already got my email in my outbox to Jeff about that, so don't worry. But yeah, the long and short of it is, for us to transact with people who have built products on Mozart, very straightforward. Like, that's all the existing payment rails that are available. I think if you got an account through one of Mozart's customers, that wouldn't necessarily qualify you to get an account with us. Again, the thing that we're constrained by is where do you live, because we are only licensed to service customers who live in the states where we have a license. So it's nothing to do with where you have an account or anything like that. I have a US bank account as well, but technically I can't be serviced by my own product because I don't live in a state where I have a license.
Yeah, and I think that's spot on, Adrian, of the point. And just to make sure everybody kind of caught, because there's some pretty important fine details that Adrian kind of brought us through, is, an MSP definitely serves its purpose here in the US. The challenge, as Adrian mentioned, is that you need to be licensed and maintained licensing in every single state that your payers are in. The second we became a program manager and sponsored by a nationally chartered bank, we automatically got all the 50 state licenses. So that whole entire issue and problem of an MSP day one went away, or the second we signed automatically went away. So now we have, anybody and everybody across the US can transact through Mozart. And so the other part of it too is that, an MSP, they're really not licensed. They're not a licensed bank, and so they can't hold funds where we can. And we do. We have some of our clients that are holding millions and millions of dollars in accounts with us, and you just could never do that with an MSP. So it's a bit limiting on that side, where we operate and function as a full nationally chartered bank in the US to be able to do any and everything that we've been talking about for any of our clients. And then as Adrian mentioned, it really comes down to what is the risk tolerance of that bank and the regulators that monitor the bank. And so that's a big part of where we spend our time. And I mentioned earlier, devil's in the details. We feel we have a pretty good opportunity within our current bank of what we're doing, of being able to kind of open up and accept a bunch of additional risk, because of our compliance is such a strong asset to our company, that the bank may not understand it, because we've worked with them so long and our compliance is state of the art, that it takes them very little time for them to sign off and approve things on our side, to say, okay, it was a risk thing, it was something we were concerned about, but we're not concerned because we have everything that we need to be able to approve these types of transactions. So that happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's a good thing we've been at it for as long as we have. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're close against it. See, I knew we had to keep a good clip today and still get some good interaction, because we had a lot of content. Jeff's email is now in the chat, posted by Chris. Thank you, Chris, for doing that. I'm sure many of you are going to be following up. We're leaving a few questions on the table. Maybe one quick one, Jeff, you could do is, can you specify the bank's Mozrt is working with? Give us some examples of that.
Yeah, so it's everybody. The one that's that is the most public that everybody would see is Stearns Bank. They're the ones that sponsored us. They're a nationally chartered bank. They're about a $2 to $3 billion bank here in the U.S. We work with a bunch of others that we haven't necessarily made public, but Triad Business Bank is a bank, a client of ours. Bank of Oklahoma. We work closely with a bunch of others like Commerce Bank and others, but. So we have a number of banks that we work with on our side, but probably the one that is probably the most important right this second is probably Stearns Bank, who is one of the best capitalized banks in the U.S. I think they just came out for a bank over $1 billion, which only about 10% of the banks in the U.S. or credit unions are over $1 billion. For a bank over $1 billion, I think they rank like the third best capitalized bank in the U.S. So it's a powerhouse of a bank that we work with, and so that one to us is probably, and for all of us, is probably the most important. Is that's the one that we have been sponsored by.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, and thanks for those that shared out and shared your work. I felt like a real chunky, dense, but still fun community call. So thanks, everyone. Good luck for the Rafikiers and teams in the work week in Romania next week, and don't forget. Summit's coming up. We're all in the process of making plans. Please reach out if you need to one of us. Vanille or I is a good lead on that front. And we will see you next month, right? October's on, November's off, December's on. Keep it simple, and we will go from there. See you on the community Slack, where you can find everybody that's on this call is there. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.